We'll make a start. We won't have any silence for Councillor Mike Goff, former Councillor Mike Goff. We'll do that in the full council. Right then, I'll move on then to just see. First item is attendance. There's a register going round. There's no apologies for absence. We're all here. Declarations of interest. Linda, do you want to take us through it?
Yes, thank you, Leader. As usual, I've had discussions with you all, and so that the meeting runs efficiently, it's useful if I go through them, and at various points members confirm that that's their understanding and the interests that they want to declare. So if we start with item 6, the non-means tested grant for disabled adaptation work, we've got Councillors Richard Clark, Councillors Gwynaira Clark and the Deputy Leader. You're all council appointed to the Steering Committee of Care and Repair, which will be affected. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Then item 10, additional learning needs review, and that's going to have an impact on the governing bodies of all schools to a greater or lesser extent. So again, I've indicated that you're likely to have a personal interest because your council-appointed school governors, I'll list them all below. The Leader, Greenmeadow, Deputy Leader, Penygarn and Pontywynydd, and your wife is also a Governor of Pontywynydd. Councillor Daniels, Governor of Llantarnam, primary and secondary, thank you. And Councillor Hunt, Llantarnam School, and you're also the parent governor of Griffithstown School, and again I think that's just a personal interest in the context of this. Councillor Richard Clark, Crossy-Ceiliog School and Crossy-Ceiliog Primary. Councillor Gwynaira Clark, Ganteg Primary and Brinteg Nursery. Councillor Yowell, Westmont and Griffithstown. And then Councillor Kenningham, St Albans High School and just recently Woodlands Primary School. So that's all on item 10. And then on item 12, Leader, you are also a council appointed director of the SRSBS. Fine. I think that's all. Thank you, members.
Sorry. Right then. Let me just find that. Here we go. Page 1, 2, 3. Sorry, it isn't 1, 2, 3. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you agreed? All agreed? Thanks so much for that. Item 5 is action sheet. Chief Executive.
Sorry, Leader, they're there for information unless members have any questions.
Any comments to the Chief Executive? If not, then we move on to item 6, the establishment of a non-means tested adaptation. This is done by Keith Rutherford. I understand that Sue's not available. You've got the main show today, by the looks of it, Keith. We're on about 5 items. So good luck to you. Good luck to you. First one is item 8, isn't it? No, isn't it? First one is item... Yeah, that's right. Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What we're asking Cabinet to approve the introduction of a non-means tested grant for disabled adaptation works costing between £1,000 and £5,000 so that we can have a speedy response for the lower cost adaptations. I'll take it that members have read the report. And I'll take you to the bit in the issues and findings where of the 144 schemes done under the DFG schemes last year, 50% of them were under £5,000. So it would make sense, I think, for us to look at doing them in that way going forward. It also means that there is a very small loss of income from that, but actually by not having to do the financial assessments, that will outweigh the time that we spend doing that. We'll cover that. So essentially, unless members have got any questions, I'll take that to the recommendation.
Gunnar?
Yes, thanks, Leader. Thank you, Keith. I think this is long overdue because just for a small adaptation, people are having to wait a very long time. So I'm really pleased that this report has come to Cabinet, and I hope that members support it, and I'm sure they will.
Just a point there, Keith. Is this consistent with the care and repair? They don't do a means tested.
No, the work they do is funded by the council and by ABHP, so
Yeah.
it's not.
There's no
It's
contribution.
free. It's
No
the work they
contribution.
do is free.
Okay.
All right, all agreed recommendation, show. Thanks very much. On now then to item 7, which is a private sector housing loan. Again, Keith, do you want to take us through this?
We're asking Cabinet today to approve 3 loans, the Housing Improvement Loan, the Vibrant and Viable Places Loan, and an amendment to the Empty Property Loan, which is already in existence. What we've got here really is a move away from Welsh Government making grants to the Council, but offering money by way of a loan to facilitate improvements in the private sector housing area. The first loan, the Housing Improvement Loan, is borough-wide, so it can be applied anywhere in the borough. But the Vibrant and Viable Places Loan is based around the Pontypool sub-area. So, into the Welsh Government, in the Housing Improvement Loan, the allocation looks to be, in this year, 131,000 and going up to 394,000 in the following year. But this money is repayable over a period of 3 years. So essentially, we're asking Cabinet to approve this so that the money can be made available across the borough to improve the housing stock, which, again, I think you know is much needed in terms of the private sector area.
Thank you for that. Keith, any comments?
Just to say once again, I welcome this report because people are finding it very difficult to get basic repairs done to their homes. So if there's an opportunity to have a grant offered to them, I think many will accept that. And it might then resolve some of the difficulties we have with private sector homes falling into dereliction, really, because that's what's happening across the borough and all over the borough, not just in small areas.
Any other comments? If not, all agree, please show. Thanks so much. Next item is the census policy for care providers, service users and carers. Again, Keith, do you want to lead on this?
Develop a policy around expenses because our service direction has been to encourage people to take up direct payments, but it's unclear in the direct payments scheme what can be paid for in terms of personal assistance and carers. So we've had issues over a period of years where there's been confusion about what people are being expected to pay for, and we know that in some circumstances carers have asked for meals to be paid and drinks bought. So really all it is a policy putting some parameters around what can and can't be paid for. We have consulted with the sector, and they welcome it because, again, it puts some sort of rules around what their carers can and can't do. So really, for us, it was a tidying up exercise in terms of what we should and shouldn't be able to pay for.
All right, thanks for that. Any comments? Can I just say, take the opportunity, I went to my wife for a meal yesterday, and there was a carer there dealing with a young child, so we observed during the time we were in there. And it's a tremendous responsibility to be looking after a child or anybody else. And there's different types of carers, obviously, some with very acute cases, others not so acute. But take the opportunity to say how much we appreciate them as a council. In terms of the work that they do. Quite remarkable. All agree with this? Thanks so much. Item 9 now then is the social care complaints policy. Again, Keith, I did say you were going to have a bit of an ID. Go on.
to endorse the new policy, complaints policy for social care. It came into being in August 2014, but we've recently only been furnished with the full regulations. What it does, it removes the stage 3 of the old complaints policy, and it puts a timescale of 12 months around any complaint. And as I think you'll know, on some occasions they've run and run and run for several, well, certainly more than 12 months, so it puts some parameters around that. It also puts a focus on local and initial resolution, so managers are expected to speak to complainants within 10 days and try to bring this matter to a resolution in a swifter and a speedier way. There's a greater emphasis on learning lessons and a requirement of local authorities to work collaboratively across the local health board footprint. In the past, we've been able to use internal people to do stage 2 investigations, but under this policy, that's no longer allowed. So that puts some financial pressure on the council. So in the last few weeks, I've been working with colleagues from across the former Gwent authorities to try and put together a group of officers who can do these stage 2 investigations, and hopefully we can do it knock for knock, so thereby trying to keep the costs down. So essentially, the policy's in. There's not a lot we can do about it. It's guidance, but because it is a change in policy, we needed to bring it to members today for your attention.
Thank you, Keith. Any comment? No? All agreed? Thanks so much. Doing additional learning needs. Over to you, Gemma.
Only the one report, Leader, but fairly lengthy. So I'll try to summarise that down so we're not here for too long. Leader, really what we're bringing back today is the results of the consultation that we've had into additional learning needs. We've engaged in an extensive consultation with the community, looking at a range of proposals, all of which are detailed in the report. And basically we have a series of proposals that have come out of that consultation that we'd like to share with you today and get your views on. It's been some time since we had a consultation on inclusion, and in fact we should really have gone out to the community again probably 2 years ago to look at an update on where we are with our range of provision for additional learning needs and how we best meet the needs of children. Obviously, there was a couple of other things that, needs that we need to look at in terms of reasons why we need to go out for consultation. Clearly, there's new legislation that's coming out. We've seen the white paper for already, and we know we need to be talking to schools and to parents and the community in general about how we get ready for that new legislation. We were part of the pilot for that for 3 years, so we're well placed to know what requirements are going to be in the new legislation, and we wanted to make sure we started our consultation with the community as early as possible. So we've built that into the consultation proposals that you have in front of you. Clearly, we're also in this consultation responding to some of the requirements from the Hill report, particularly around ensuring that we're trying to help schools take the lead in school improvement. And clearly, additional learning needs is about school improvement. And that we also look to see how we can ensure schools are able to use their resources as prudently as possible and take the lead in the use of resources going forward. So, in terms of the proposals for change, there were 3 main areas within this quite lengthy report that we wanted to look at. We want to look at support for schools, and that's really around what we're doing internally within the local education authority services. So changes to what we're doing with inclusion officers, how we fund schools, and how pupils get access, or schools get access to additional funding for pupils. The second part was looking at how we get the best from the resources we already have, so particularly how we use Crown Bridge School, which is, as Cabinet knows, was recently held up as being excellent by Eston. How do we make sure we unlock that potential of that provision and support other schools who have got learning resource bases for children with learning difficulties? And the third element then was looking at behaviour And again, as Cabinet will know, in previous Aston visits, we've been held up as having Aston have held up some concerns around our level of exclusions, for example, which is an ongoing issue for us, and we've got further work to do. So the proposals are detailed in the report for you with the responses from page 77 and following. I don't propose to go through those in detail. Obviously, all the responses have been lodged in the members' library. So unless there are particular issues there, I suggest I just go on to what the conclusions are, unless, Leader, you want me to stop at that point and ask for questions. Otherwise, I'll just go straight to the conclusion.
Thanks for that. Dave, do you want to make a comment?
Thank you, Councillor Daniels. Only in the sense of supporting what the officer has already told us. The current way that we deal with and provide the service of ALN has been, if I can use the term fit for purpose only between 2008 and 2012. Estin have been fairly critical. The Wales Audit Office also weighed in with commentary on that. And indeed the Welsh Assembly Government. So it was, it's timely that we look at a way of improving, through change, the way that we deliver the ALN service. In terms of the consultation, the bulk of those that responded were very, very positive. In fact, there was a general agreement that this was the best way to go. The recent, or the current, because I'm still going through it, I have another 4 schools, I think, to visit out of 38. And in some of these schools, clearly, there is more interest in what's happening than in others. But it's been met with general support. And of course, the Recovery Board are very, very supportive of it and very gracious in the way in which they've received the report yesterday and the very fulsome way in which they praised the work being done by Dermot and his team in terms of pushing this through. So I think it's not only timely, it's something that we needed to do. I think we've gone about it in a very imaginative, some people might say, inspirational, others have used. And I think the identification of, certainly of Crown Bridge School and the leader there, Mrs. Bush, is again inspirational. I think her involvement in this will enhance the quality going forward. There's still a lot of work to do on this, clearly, but I would be fully in support of this. Why wouldn't I? Because I've been kept informed as to how we're proceeding bit by bit in this. So I would lend my support to this and hope that, whilst, notwithstanding the fact that the rest of the Cabinet have the potential and the ability to ask questions, I would hope that ultimately you draw the conclusion that the best way forward is to give your 100% support to this particular venture.
Thanks very much there, Dave. Any comments, any questions? If not, all agree the policy, Jim. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's disposal of Unit 4 to 9, Pontleywood Industrial Estate, and it's Victor. Welcome, Victor. Do you want to present the case?
Good morning all. The report pertains to an offer that's been received from a company called Brick Fabrication Limited for the purchase of part of Pontleywood Industrial Estate as well as some land adjoining the estate. The purpose of the reasoning behind the offer is that they're looking to expand the operations at this site and create a centre of excellence for the sale, manufacture and design of prefabricated construction products. There are already tenants on the estate that probably roughly occupy half of the estate in dispersed units, and they're just looking to consolidate and also expand. The offer that is on the table is 325,000, which has been ascertained through 2 independent valuations. One commissioned by the Welsh Government, who are providing grant funding towards the investment, and another commissioned by one of the lenders towards the project. there will be a loss of rent if we proceed with the transaction of 38,000, but on balance, we feel that the capital income that will be generated from the sale, but also the jobs that will be created and the jobs that will be safeguarded by this expansion, on balance, bring a good benefit to the authority. So we're recommending that the disposal be approved, and the details can be that the details be delegated to the executive member for resources. And because the transaction linked to the grant funding, the funding has to be spent by the end of this financial year. So the final recommendation is that this be regarded as an agent item, and implementation proceed immediately.
Thank you very much for that. Well, we welcome the jobs, that's a certainty, and you've done a good job there. Anthony?
Thank you. I'd just like to echo that sentiment from the leader. Obviously, with any proposal like this, we have to balance the job creation and safeguarding aspect of it, which is very important in the Valley, and also the capital income that the council could get from the sale, which is very much welcomed at the current financial circumstances, with the loss of the rental income, but especially considering part of the incomes just circulated from round the council from the Direct Works unit. I think that the balance in this case is in favour of the sale.
Thanks for that. Anybody else want to make a comment? Recommendations are on page 144. All agreed? Thanks for that. Next one is the SLS Business Solutions. This is the Chief Executive. Item 12.
Thank you, Leader. This will be a very brief report. It's just about a change of director in the SRSBS. As members will know, SRSBS is the arm's-length company which is able to trade and is wholly owned by Taufan and Monmouthshire. The current directors of the SRSBS are the leader, the Chief Executive Neighbourhood Service, the Chief Officer Neighbourhood Services, and the Head of Resources and Pensions is the Company Secretary. As Chief Executive, I chair the board, but I'm not a director and I don't have any voting rights. So obviously Christina Harry has left us. I've had conversations with Duncan Smith. Members will appreciate he's got a huge amount on his plate, and probably this is not something that we want him to take on at this stage. But Richard Edmonds, the Head of Strategic Services, has a lot of experience in the area of IT and would seem to be a suitable person to take on the directorship at an officer level. He's very willing to do so. So my recommendation to members is that you appoint the Head of Strategic Services as the new director in place of the Chief Officer Neighbourhood Services. Thanks
for that. Any comments? If not, all agreed. Recommendation, show. Thanks very much. Next item is item 13, and this is the term contract for highways, transportation and property, appointment of replacement contractor and extension of contract for 1 year. This is Steve Jarrett. Over to you, Steve. Carry on.
Thanks, John. Again, a brief report, Leader. We have a term contract in place for civil engineering works within the Highways and Transportation Division. We're looking to seek to appoint a replacement contractor resulting from one of the contractors going into administration, and also taking the opportunity as it's timely to extend that contract for an additional year within the terms of the contract. That's briefly the report as is, Chair. The recommendation is on page 154, and that's that you approve the award of a term contract for civil engineering works to Tendra E, which is a fifth place contract in the original contract, and a further 1 year, and also that you approve the extension of the contract for a further 1 year in accordance with the conditions of the contract.
Thanks for that. Any comments?
Only as much as I support the report, Chair, and I think it's a sensible approach that we give a 1 year extension on the contract rather than entering into any other longer term contracts given the climate we're in at this moment in time.
I understand that. Thanks very much for that report. All agreed? Sure. Thanks very much. That then is no other business. I'll conclude the meeting.
That's a record, that is.
There's no way, isn't it?
That's a record. Again, no, don't say it. Don't say it.
Oh,